Good morning. I'm calling to order our regularly scheduled meeting of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Elizabeth Glidden. I am the chair of this committee. I'm joined by council members Gordon, Reich, Bender, Andrew Johnson, and Lisa Goodman. And we are not quite a quorum of this committee. I know that one other council member is on his way, but we would like to go ahead and start because we have some presentations and some other things like that that we can go ahead and start hearing the information on. So our first item is to receive an update about, which is some good news about some awards. We have a Soul Smart Gold Designation Award and a Minnesota Clean Energy Community Award. And I think Gail Prest from our Sustainability Office is going to give us an overview of what this is all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, council members, Councilmember Glidden. My name is Gail Prest. I'm the Sustainability Director for the City of Minneapolis. And yep, we've got some great news we'd like to present to the City Council. And we've asked somebody from the state, Bill Grant, who's Deputy Commissioner of Commerce, to come and talk about the awards. So with that, I'll introduce Bill, and thank you very much for coming.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Grant. We're excited that you're here.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the Council, and Gail, thanks for the invitation to be here this morning. Again, my name is Bill Grant. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for the Energy Division at the Minnesota Department of Commerce, and in that role, we have pretty much everything that the state is involved in when it comes to energy issues. That would include all the regulatory matters at the Public Utilities Commission. We operate at the state level the low-income energy assistance and weatherization programs, addressing the needs of low-income Minnesotans throughout the state. We do all of the analysis around siting of large energy facilities. So, for example, we're presently conducting an environmental impact statement for the so-called Line 3 replacement project in northern Minnesota. We also host the State Energy Office, which is really the partnership effort between the federal government and states to do a number of things, but mostly around promotion of energy efficiency and renewable energy alternatives, and to provide that information in an independent way for consumers across the state. It's part of the effort around promotion of renewable energy and energy efficiency is the sponsorship of recognition events and awards like the one I'm going to be presenting this morning. But let me start by just acknowledging the great work that the City of Minneapolis has done. We've been following it with great interest. Your partnership with your two utilities here is something that I think holds great promise and is really a model for other cities, not only in Minnesota, but around the country. And one of my real passions is in assisting communities across the state in addressing their own energy problems, their own energy needs, and providing them with the resources to do the kind of planning that is an essential component of that. So any assistance that we can be to the city, and we've worked closely with Gail and her team in the past, but we stand ready to provide that kind of assistance going forward. Let me start with your Soul Smart Award, and congratulations on being one of the first cohorts of 14 cities across the United States to receive a Soul Smart Gold designation for the city's work in making faster, easier, and cheaper to go solar. There are also silver and bronze levels. I understand my city of St. Paul is a bronze award winner, so congratulations to them as well. And just to give a little bit of the background, Soul Smart is a federal Department of Energy funded program that cities apply to in order to be recognized for their efforts to reduce solar soft costs, which are the non-hardware costs that can increase the time and money it takes to install a solar system. And this is really important because, as you probably are aware, the hard costs have been falling dramatically for solar over the last 5 to 10 years. So much so that we expect large-scale, utility-scale solar projects to be at what we call grid parity, or at the same cost or lower that alternative energy resources could be operated for. And this is key because once it's competitive at the utility scale, then it's not long after that we would expect it to be fully cost effective at smaller distributed levels, all the way down to the rooftop scale. And so some of the examples of the work that the city has done to reduce those costs, those soft costs, are to first dramatically streamline and reduce solar permitting costs. Second, to provide PACE financing for commercial solar installations. Third, Minneapolis has helped to develop solar-ready construction guidelines and construction specification provided on the state's website. They've incorporated solar issues into your comprehensive plan, the Climate Action Plan, and other long-range planning documents. Building and showcasing 7 solar PV installations in the city's buildings, including, at the time, the largest solar installation in the state with 3,000 solar panels on your convention center. And Minneapolis has really been a leader in subscribing to 23 community solar garden programs to date, and have educated the public about the benefits of participating in those solar garden projects. So at this time, I'd like to encourage the staff and the audience that have been working on these solar efforts to rise and be recognized if they would. So, thanks very much. To put some of this in the broader context, thanks to your work, both within the city limits as well as at the legislature and at the Public Utilities Commission, solar capacity in Minnesota has increased more than 7-fold in the past year, from 33 megawatts in 2015 to over 250 by the end of this year. And what we're seeing going forward is that those numbers are going to continue to rise in that kind of exponential fashion. Expanding solar energy not only helps fight climate change, but also attracts more entrepreneurs to the city while creating new jobs. According to the Solar Foundation, in early 2016, Minnesota's solar employment has grown 131%. To just under 2,000 employees statewide, largely due to favorable state and local policies. Minneapolis has been leading the region's solar market transformation efforts, capturing the economic benefits of what is now, thanks to your efforts and programs like SolSmart, an extremely valuable local resource. And finally, we appreciate the city work in transferring lessons learned to other cities. I know that on March 8th, the city is helping to host a solar workshop relating to how communities can lower soft costs. Local leadership, such as the work that you've done here in Minneapolis, is particularly critical to achieving our climate protection goals in this current era. And really, local governments, as I've said, will be the leaders, I believe, going forward in those efforts to develop what is becoming a burgeoning solar energy market. Let me turn quickly then to the Minnesota Clean Energy Award, and that's this handsome trophy right here. The city of Minneapolis was one of 6 communities in Minnesota to receive an achievement award as part of our first ever effort to have a Clean Energy Community Awards program. Minnesota Clean Energy Community Awards are an acknowledgement of the work done by Minnesota communities like Minneapolis to further the state's clean energy goals by implementing programs, policies, and technologies that encourage energy efficiency, conservation, and renewable energy generation. Minnesota Department of Commerce is the sponsor and coordinator of the awards program, but we couldn't have done it without the financial support of the U.S. DOE and the McKnight Foundation. I want to acknowledge both of them for their assistance with this. This is a new approach that partners the city of Minneapolis in a unique way with Xcel Energy and Centerpoint Energy to help the city reach its climate action plan and energy vision for 2040, goals of 30% greenhouse gas reduction by 2025 and a very ambitious but needed 80% reduction by 2050. The Clean Energy Partnership is structured as a collaborative leadership framework through which the city and utilities study, prioritize, plan, coordinate, implement, market, track, and report progress on clean energy activities in the city. The importance of the Clean Energy Partnership's Energy Vision Advisory Committee's role in advising the staff and the board is also of critical importance. Many cities in Minnesota and nationally are looking at this model to see its impact and opportunities for replication. I realize it's not that easy, but that there are plenty of policies where the three entities may not agree always, but this seems to be a unique forum to discuss differing points of view and also to collaborate on the various energy issues that are facing the city. For instance, it's noteworthy to see how the three partners are thinking about equity issues. For example, the recent commitment for the partners to equally fund community engagement energy efficiency pilot projects with Minneapolis Renters Coalition and the Neighborhood Hub aims to do just that. One, gain a better understanding on how to engage underrepresented communities in Minneapolis in energy efficiency programs, including what motivates them to take that action. Secondly, to increase equitable uptake of energy savings opportunity offered by Excel and Centerpoint, and this is something that's of great assistance to us as we administer the conservation improvement program that those utilities are also involved in, that really provides the financial incentives for consumers to take advantage of those opportunities. And third, to assist in achieving engagement targets and greenhouse gas reductions as outlined in your climate action plan. If all of these elected officials and staff engaged in this work can also rise and be recognized, that would be great. Thank you. So just to wrap up, Madam Chair, our combined work on mitigating climate change is not an easy task, and I think we all know it's just gotten a little harder. 2016 was the hottest year on the historical record and the third consecutive record-breaking year. We need to continue to press for innovation that creates not only a better planet for our children, but a healthy city and contributes to all of our economic success. And again, I really want to thank all of you for your strong and continued support of those efforts. And as I say, I believe this action at the local level is really where we're going to make the most significant progress in the coming years. So thanks for your help and your support.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Grant, for taking your time to be with us, for being so well-versed on what we have been doing. We're proud of it as well. I know we have a comment or question from Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Grant, thank you for being here today. One of the things that's been working really well in my ward is the Made in Minnesota Solar Incentive Program. Yes. I was lucky enough to get a note from my next door neighbor saying, we've applied for this program, and what do you think about putting solar on the house next door, which we looked right at. And we thought it was great. Right. And many, many residents and businesses in the city of Minneapolis have benefited from this program. It's very unfortunate to see what's happening at the state level right now. As I understand it, the program is point blank under attack, has been called a waste by Republican legislators, and I quite frankly am very fearful if this is something that has helped individuals do their own thing. Solar gardens, the convention center solar array, many things that I've been involved in are really good, but how to bring it really hyper-local so that people actually see the benefit of it themselves, I think is really important. So I'm wondering if you can just talk a little bit from your point of view about what you see as the future, specifically of this program that has benefited so many residents and businesses in the city.
Madam Chairman, Councilmember Goodman, thanks so much for the question. And this is something that I'm spending a good deal of time on at the Capitol right now. And we share your concerns about the attack on the program and the possibility that there will be a bill on the governor's desk quite shortly to eliminate the program. Their stated goal is to have it eliminated before our current open enrollment period for the program ends on February 28th. So obviously that's of great concern to us. We have each year we've been oversubscribed by several 100%. And so the demand for the program is clearly there. And it has, in our view, really jump-started a rooftop solar industry in Minnesota that really wasn't here before. And not only has it dramatically increased the amount of rooftop solar that is being installed, but we've now gone from having 2 manufacturers in the state to 5 locate here specifically because Minnesota is now on the map in terms of rooftop solar development. So we certainly share your concerns. I know the governor does as well, and says the bill will be obviously monitoring very closely and actively speaking out in terms of, and I've done so already on the benefits of the program and how short-sighted, in our view, it would be to eliminate the program prematurely.
Madam Chair, Mr. Grant, well, I feel good hearing you say that. I'm hoping that the governor will step in. It would be very hard for the installers and the people who have worked in this program to lobby the legislature to talk about the benefits of it. It's one of these things where you do have kind of a built-in group of people who have moved forward, invested their own money, put up their own installations, but kind of coordinating them to talk about the importance of it, I think, would be extremely difficult. And I don't think many people know this. And I see some shaking heads in the room because everyone works in this area. But there hasn't been a broader conversation about this. And I'm just, thinking to myself out loud of what we can do as a city that has benefited so greatly from the program, but also we're talking about green jobs. That's right. And job creation. That's why the program was set up in the first place. And yes. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that the Solar Garden program does give more people access, but they don't see it necessarily. Right. They won't see, there won't be a solar garden at Bryn Mawr Elementary as much as I would like to see that. It's likely to be out by my farmhouse in Atwater, right? Right. That's a big installation in Atwater, by the way. It's quite expansive, but I don't think people in the city make the connection. So this program is such a good way to make a connection. I'm hoping the governor will stand strong, and I'm hoping people who have benefited from it are able to make their voices heard to the governor's office as well.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Goodman, for talking about this issue, which is one, I'll just say that the city of Minneapolis has had a long-standing position on supporting a variety of ways that we can increase capacity to utilize solar and a whole variety of things relating to that. I wanted to again say thank you very much to you, and I guess I would just say too, I appreciate that we live in a state that today does have some aggressive climate change goals, greenhouse gas reduction goals, that we have been following the science, following the data, taking these concerns for our state and our country and the world very seriously. And we, in a sense, have also been following the state and the city of Minneapolis. And so our climate goals, I think, match up to the state's. We think that our ability to be aligned in this way is important. And you made some nice comments to us about the importance of local projects. We think we are making a difference, but it all happens when we're working together. So I just want to say again, we very much appreciate the state's work and for you to come here. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, Councilmember Gordon has a comment or a question. Councilmember Gordon.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a brief comment, and I really appreciate you being here as well. And I really thank all the staff that have worked so hard to make this happen. Working on our climate action plan and for clean energy has really been a priority for us. We're excited about the clean energy partnership that we've been able to form with our utilities, and we're hopeful about it. One of the things that we, I think, want to do is actually move farther and move more quickly to getting to clean energy for the city. And sometimes there will be obstacles that will be in our way. What we're hoping to get is the Public Utilities Commission at the state level to understand that there is an interest in leading, and we would welcome the opportunity to serve as a pilot so that we might be able to focus some resources here through our Clean Energy Partnership on doing some new and innovative things so that we could have clean energy. I think we're definitely going to use these awards to help hold up and say we want to do the right thing, and maybe you can even help us at the state level and whatever influence you might have with the PUC to help loosen things up so that we're able to get better participation from our utility companies, and they can't say, well, the PUC is holding us back. We'd like to offer more and do more in Minneapolis. I think we as a city council in our city are very excited about how we can leverage more of our resources, maybe even use our franchise fee and some other mechanisms like that so that we can get more clean energy in our city. But we'd really like our clean energy partnerships to also have the freedom and flexibility to bring resources to the table too.
Madam Chair, if I could, and Councilmember Gordon, I really appreciate that and want to really echo your point about engagement at the Public Utilities Commission. We've certainly noticed the city's increased engagement there, and I can't tell you how important that is to having them understand how these state policies impact local communities like yours, and they need to see more of that. And so I really applaud your efforts to become more engaged, and it can be a very daunting and kind of technical setting, but you've navigated it well, and applaud your efforts. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move that we receive and file this item. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And then we were going to take, and if staff could just come up super quickly, I know that folks wanted to take a photograph with the awards, and if you would come up, I think we would have you do it right now. And maybe, yep. I don't know how, these seem like really substantial awards. I would say people come on both sides. You're going to want to come over here. Whoops, we've got some cords. And more people on that side. All right, thank you. So we have one more item, also a significant item on our agenda for today, and this is to get the update on a plan that has had a lot of community engagement. This is Minneapolis for a Lifetime, an age-friendly city action plan of recommendations, which is part of a requirement from our age-friendly city designation. All right, welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair, council members. First off, I'm going to apologize. I'm at the tail end of a cold. My name is Christina Kendrick. I'm with the Department of Neighborhood and Community Relations. The good news is that you won't have to listen to me scratch up here because I have the honor of being joined by several members of our Minneapolis Advisory Committee on Aging who will be conducting most of the presentation today. But I first just want to start off and highlight very quickly kind of the background, how we got here today. In 2014, we adopted, after a whole year of planning, it was multi-jurisdictional, multi-discipline, as well as a lot of community engagement that was done. We adopted the Minneapolis for a Lifetime strategy. Shortly after that, AARP, who is in partnership with the World Health Organization, approached the city in May, a little bit sooner than May, but in May, using the World Health Organization's age-friendly cities model, designated Minneapolis as the first city in the state of Minnesota to be an age-friendly community under the World Health Organization's model. And with that, we, the Advisory Committee on Aging, once again jumped in and started to do some planning on some real boots on the ground action steps that are directly in line with the Minneapolis for a Lifetime strategy. So we now have the Minneapolis for a Lifetime, an age-friendly city action plan that we'll be talking about today. So I just kind of looked up these numbers before. This is a projection that was done back when we were looking at numbers, potential numbers with the Minneapolis for a Lifetime strategy. And I worked with Hennepin County quite a bit, and their and as well as the state demographer's office. They don't go down to city level, so I do want to mention that there's definitely more of a margin of error in the Minneapolis projection. It's with the assumption that our communities are aging at the same pace as Hennepin County, so that's the formula we used. But we're really not that far behind the 2015 projection. And as you can see, we are just going to continue to grow. I think the main point that I want to make is we all know Minneapolis is usually focused on as a very youth-centric city. We're responsible for Hennepin County's median age being 34. But this really points out the law of large numbers. You know, we have over 100,000 residents in our city who are 50 and older, and that's just going to continue to grow. As a matter of fact, as you can see, just in 5 years, our 50-plus population increased by 9%. So with that, I'm grateful to turn it over to Dick Cavani, who is our co-chair of the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on Aging. Dick, if you want to come on up.
And as you come up, I will say welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I'm Dick Cavani, and I represent Ward 3. And before I start my presentation, if you give me just a minute, I'll introduce the other members of the committee that are here. Ray Olson, Ward 4. Ray. Paulette Wills, Ward 10. Hazel Tanner, Ward 11. And Joanna Leeds, Ward 13. Thank you. There are two more members, Jean Greener, the member at large, and Charlie Larkin, Ward 2, who were very instrumental in putting together this report, and I do want to make special mention of them. And the late arriver who I'd scratched, who is also here, Tony Worley, Ward 7. Sorry. Roughly, the presentation will follow the form. I will do the general report. When that's done, then I'll pass it over to Paulette Wills, who will talk about the recommendations that the committee has. And lastly, the presentation will be closed by a comment by Mr. Olson, thanking the council for allowing us to work on this type of project. Obviously, we invite questions anytime. And if I can't answer them, I'll ask Christine. If she can't answer, maybe Elson. Other than that, we'll bring back an answer as quick as we can. The committee is charged by the council, as you'll see on the slide. This is the charge that was in the authorization done by the council to form this committee and asked us to work towards these particular topics. The foundation for this particular topic, as Christine mentioned it briefly, it comes out of the joinder between the World Health Organization and AARP, which works in conjunction with our Minneapolis for a Lifetime undertaking. Putting those together, we have about 9 different domains to address, and if you go to 8 domains, go to page 9 of the report, they're there. I won't get back into each of them. But the committee, in working this up, came to 3 that they felt were significant at this point in time. That's housing and transportation and health and wellness. Just a couple comments. Part of what we should do here is to alert or bring to you the talents and skills that you've asked and brought forth in this committee. So I'll just basically give my bio, if you will. I'm a construction engineer by education. I worked in construction until my 30s, went to law school. I practiced construction litigation for the next 35 years. I have been before city councils many, many times, mostly trying to talk them into giving me some money. But that's not my duty here today. Also, I did work with the Department of Human Services in their 2010 plan, the aging consequence. I worked there to primarily investigate the implications for building codes and zoning ordinances on the housing plans that they had, because they wouldn't work together. And that was my job for them. Housing. The next slide. Basically, the idea is in all of our interviews, the people we talk to want to stay in their own homes. The problem with this is, one, they don't really know what it takes to do that. They don't know what has to be done to their home to do that. And part of what we'll get to a little later is how we can help these particular homeowners to see that. Again, it's homeowners, but not just privately owned homes. There's multifamily, other types of housing facilities that need this type of attention. When I worked with the 2010 program, the goal was to do a universal design, which is multi-generational by its format. But